How's it going, guys? Very interesting news today and very interesting day on the markets as we look at the Fed coming out and increasing interest rates by another 25 basis points. And this is very interesting, and I think the implication of this on crypto are quite interesting. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But let's just talk about the implications of the Fed increasing the interest rates and how this pertains to the overall banking sector as a whole, and particularly when we're looking at banking security and the health of the industry. So it's without a secret, everyone knows that banks are failing left, right, and center. It started off with Silicon Valley Bank, followed by other prominent banks such as Signature Bank, and most latest is the First Republic Bank. And this is very interesting because um, when the Fed comes out and increases interest rates, it puts a lot of stress on these banks who invest heavily in treasuries namely. And as a result of current economic conditions as well, whenever we see banks having a run on the bank rather, in which depositors are trying to claim their money back, the result is these banks who are heavily invested in these treasuries now have to realize the loss of the sale of those treasuries in order to refund the client their money. And as a result of this, this is obviously putting a lot of strain on the current economic conditions. And I would hate to be Jerome Powell at the moment because he's in a very difficult place between choosing, he's quote unquote literally in between a rock and a hard place because he has to choose between fighting inflation, which he's trying to do by increasing interest rates, and also by doing so, he's also knowingly putting some other financial institutions in distress, as we've seen with the aforementioned banks. So he's in a very difficult position, but I think that this was the right decision to make with regards to increasing interest rates. But I digress. Let's talk about the implications of this particular transaction, or not transaction, of this particular news on the overall market of Bitcoin. As you see, Bitcoin has gone up slightly. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But this is a very interesting predicament because if you were a depositor in Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank or First Republic Bank, you are coming to realize that, hey, maybe banks might not be the best place to store your value. Not only have they proven to be, they might not be the safest place to store money, but there's also people may not be that bullish on holding U.S. dollars in their bank account, as we've seen, especially in these last couple of years, with the heavy stimulus checks and the cost of inflation on the purchasing power of the dollar with regards to CPI. Excuse me. We're seeing that the purchasing power of the dollar has decreased dramatically. In the last coming years. And people are now looking to what are other ways that we can diversify so we're not being hit with all this inflation. And now people are looking at Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a strong hedge against inflation because there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin that's going to ever be produced. And not only that, Bitcoin was created as a response from the great financial crisis in 2008, in which more transparency was called for, and as a result that Bitcoin was created. So I think that this is a very interesting time for people who would want to put their money into Bitcoin, and as a result of that, that's why we're seeing the Bitcoin price somewhat pumping. We're seeing that in the last post announcement of the rate hike, we have been seeing that Bitcoin price has increased about 3.4, 3.5% right there. So Bitcoin has been very, very bullish with regards to fighting inflation and the recent rate hike. But let's take it back. Let's wind the clocks back to, let's just say you were one of the lucky ones to get all their money out of Silicon Valley Bank before it was being rescued by the Fed. Let's say you took all that money out. You're still a bit skeptical about where to put your money, and you decided that the safest place was to put your money was in Bitcoin. And if you would have deposited your money at that time from Silicon Valley Bank into Bitcoin, you would be up about 55, 50, almost 60%, which is tremendous. And that's just a drop in the bucket, in my opinion, as to potential yields and gains come for Bitcoin. I think that there's still a lot of gains to come from Bitcoin in the future. This isn't financial advice, this is just my own opinion, but I definitely think that the use case for Bitcoin is truly being utilized and will be maximized as we go forward and the uncertainty within the financial and banking sector continues. Now, if you're interested in coming into cryptocurrencies and you want to to purchase some Bitcoins, I have a referral link down below in the link with crypto.com. If you use that referral link, you get $25 for free that you can invest into Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency of your choice. And once again, you're playing, that's with the house's money, so you can just invest that however you like. And if you decide that you just want to put in the $25 that you're given because you're still not completely sold on this technology and the use case for Bitcoin, that's truly up to you as well. But if you decide that, hey, this is something that it's working out, and this is something that I believe in, or is even something that I would like to get a little bit of exposure to, you can definitely do that as well. So once again, that link will be in the description for the crypto.com app as well as the crypto.com exchanges, which is what I'm currently using right now. Anyway, guys, that's all of the video I have for you today. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer them. Cheers.